what's up? My name is Daniela and welcome to a new reading vlog. I say it like I do reading vlogs all the time, while this is actually my second reading vlog ever, and the first one was when I read Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, so it was focused on a single book. As you may know, the NEWTs readathon is happening in August, so I thought maybe I could try and vlog the whole month of August. The NEWTs readathon is part 2 of the Magical Readathon, which is hosted by G over at Book Roast. It's an absolutely amazing Harry Potter inspired readathon. I participated in part 1, which happened in April, and it was all about passing owls, and in August we are passing newts. So it's 11 AM on day 1, but I actually can't start with my NEWTs readathon books yet because I still need to finish 2 books that I started in July, so yay. So today it's already day 3 because I had to finish 2 books that I started in July due to poor planning. But now I'm finally ready to pick up a book for the NEWTs readathon. As a part of the event, you can choose a wizarding career, and then you have to pass certain subjects and get certain grades. So I've chosen to become an author, which are basically the police, and I've chosen this because I'm on a Brooklyn Nine-Nine kick, and also in an alternate reality I would really like to be a badass and, you know, be good at martial arts and stuff like that, so that's what I've chosen. And because I'm feeling ambitious and I really would like to read a lot of books in August, I've also chosen to be a writer on the side, which is one of the easier careers, so I will only have to read a couple more books on top of my primary career. So yeah, these are my plans for the careers, and now let's talk about my TBR. I don't have one. When I was doing the owls in April, I was tweaking my TBR and changing it up until the last minute, and it was so much fun because I'm such a mood reader and I just can't choose a TBR up front, so I just have to see what I'm in the mood for. But of course this round is a bit more difficult as you have to read the books in order to unlock the grades, so I have some plans. So during this readathon I really want to concentrate on my physical TBR and also some library books, because I have books that I've had for a year, and although I really want to read them, I have been ignoring them. So this is kind of my selection of my physical TBR books and library books, and this stack are books I can read to get an A from different subjects. These are the books I'm going to be choosing from during the first week. I don't think I will be able to finish them all, but yeah, as soon as I finish some A's, I will be able to choose for some books for E. So as my first book for the readathon, I've chosen Wild Beauty by Anna-Marie McLemore. This has been on my physical TBR for a year, I think, and it's magical realism about some women living inside of a beautiful garden, and then when a boy approaches, or like if they fall in love, something bad will happen, I think. I'm not sure, and I like going into books not knowing much, and I think that with magical realism that applies even more. And I'm reading this for the challenge to read a gorgeous book to get an A in charms, which is one of my favorite subjects, so yeah. Hello! So, it looks like I didn't leave this couch, but I did, I swear. I'm 62 pages into Wild Beauty, and now that I actually know a little bit what it's about, let's make a second attempt at a synopsis. So, it's about this family who is cursed, and in every generation there are 5 women, and they have to live inside these gardens. They cannot leave, and if they fall in love, then their lover disappears. It's basically 2 perspectives. One is from a girl named Estrella, who is 16, I think, and the second one is from a perspective of like 18 or 19-year-old boy or man who appeared in the garden, and they don't know who he is and what happened, and he seems like from another time. And also the youngest generation's 5 cousins, Estrella is one of them, so they all have a crush on the same girl, so they are trying to protect her. They don't want her to disappear, so that's another thing. Hello, we meet again. So yesterday I didn't make a lot of progress. My boyfriend came back from a trip and we went on a walk, and I didn't read that much, but I started another book, although I'm still reading Wild Beauty. Normally I don't like to read 2 different books at the same time that much, but this is a non-fiction book, and reading non-fiction and fiction is totally fine. And I started it as an audiobook, so it counts for an A in herbology. And the book is Happier at Home. It has a really long title by Gretchen Rubin. So this year I have read, I think, 4 books by Gretchen Rubin, and I started listening to her podcast. And she's a non-fiction writer who focuses on happiness and habits, stuff like that. And it's just something I can listen to in the background, you know, like listen to it, but it doesn't require that much mental energy, so that's that. And I'm on page 169 in Wild Beauty. So this really is a slow read. I really like the world building, and as I said, the writing and the characters are interesting. I like both Estrella and Fel, but I'm not that invested in the plot itself. It kind of flows and you have to flow with it, and I have to kind of leave the mindset of go go go, which I have during a readathon usually. It's only a little bit over 300 pages, but it's a long 300 pages, if you know what I mean. I don't mind, I just don't want to read this book the whole week because it's a readathon, but I'm not that worried because when I was doing the Owls, I read like 2 books during the first 2 weeks, and then I read 10 in the last 2 weeks, so it's okay. But I'm really glad I finally picked it up because I was meaning to do it for a very long time, and so far I can't say I am disappointed, so yeah. It's going pretty well. And now I'm about to head out. I'm meeting my boyfriend in the city, and we're going in this old building. Well, there are a lot of old buildings in the city, but this has an open roof, so I expect there will be a beautiful view at Prague. I love views, so yeah. Hello, it's Friday. I started this vlog on Saturday, so I will be ending it here, and fortunately I did manage to get some reading done, so I have finished Wild Beauty by Anna-Marie McLemore. So my feelings about this book are kind of conflicted, you know. It was beautiful on the inside as it is on the outside, but it also was a little bit boring. Usually I really enjoy character-based stories where there is not that much plot. I don't mind that, but with this one I liked the characters. I quite enjoyed the perspective of Estrella, who was an interesting character, and Fel was a precious little... My camera died, so sorry for the change in the quality and stuff. But maybe because of the fact that it was told in third person and it was all very dreamlike, you know, magical realism stuff, weird things happening, and you have to kind of pay close attention so that nothing escapes your attention. But what I meant to say is that maybe because of the style of the narration, I didn't feel as connected with the characters. I loved the writing, it was beautiful. Again, it reminded me of Laini Taylor's writing, so if you liked her books, you might like this one as well. But I also enjoy was the world building, if you can call it that in magical realism, and the political or social aspects it covered, like, you know, immigration, discrimination, family. I think that maybe I wasn't in a very patient mood during this week. Also, it's a readathon, so I was a bit annoyed that it was taking me so long. I would say that my overall experience with this book was more like 3 stars, and I think that it definitely deserves more than 3 stars. So, you know, it's like between 3 and 4, and I don't give half stars, so I'm going to round it up to 4 stars. So yeah, finishing this book earned me an A in charms, because it was the prompt to read a gorgeous book, and I still think this is probably the most beautiful book I own. And yesterday I also finished Happier at Home by Gretchen Rubin, and this was to get an A in herbology, to read an audiobook. As I have probably mentioned earlier, I have read I think 4 books by Gretchen Rubin this year, and I listened to her podcast, which she does with her sister. Recently I listened to it like every day, and this month I don't, because I want to use that time to listen to audiobooks. I haven't read The Happiness Project, which this is basically like book 2, because it's the same type of book, it's the same concept. She undertakes a happiness project for 9 months, and we go month by month. But I must say that this book was a disappointment. I don't know if I'm just a little bit fed up with hearing about her life and her personality all the time, but I looked at some reviews and people tend to agree with me that this wasn't that enjoyable or interesting. There are some great one-liners or quotes that she has, either her own or citing other people. One I love probably the most is accept yourself and expect more of yourself. There were some practical tidbits that might be useful, but overall it was more of a memoir of 1 year than a self-help book. It was very personal and specific to her situation, and a lot of people argue that they don't have anything in common with her. She has a lot of money and she lives in this gorgeous Manhattan apartment, and, you know, I don't have that much in common with her because I'm not wealthy and I'm not married, I don't have kids and stuff like that. And also personality-wise, we're not that similar. But for some reason, some things are still pretty relatable, or I feel like I'm gaining something by listening to her stuff, because I don't know, I think that she's a really self-motivated and hardworking person, and yeah, that's something that's inspiring for me. This was definitely the least exciting or interesting book I have read by her, and I definitely wouldn't recommend to pick it up, especially if you haven't read anything by her. I think that this book is more like for people who are super interested in her life. But yeah, it was pretty dull. And so far I'm hesitating between 2 and 3 stars. I will have to think about it a little bit more. But yeah, that's the second book I finished this week. I will try and continue to vlog because it has been really fun, and it has been motivating me to actually go outside and do stuff. Thank you so much for watching, and in the comments let me know if you read either of these books or if you're interested in them. Let me know if you're participating in Readathon and how it is going for you. But yeah, that is all for this vlog. I hope you're having a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye!